Hello. I am not muted, right? Yeah, not muted. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm so glad you were able to make it. I am Mandy Rice of teachonamission.com, and I help teachers build sustainable classrooms so that they can stay there longer. That's what my business of Teach on a Mission is all about. And the primary way that I do that is by helping them build flipped and therefore accessible classrooms, which is rather applicable to the here and now and the state of our earth, our globe, right? And so that's why I'm coming to you live at 3 p.m. every single day this week. So be sure that you stay tuned for that. And I hope that's at Eastern Standard Time. And I hope that you can kind of join me as I hopefully bring some value to you as you're trying to build your online course and learn essentially by fire how to do this effectively. If you wouldn't mind, just hop in the comments and introduce yourself. Tell us where you're coming from, and let me know if you ever have questions. Like, just plug them into the comments, and I would love to answer those for you. I feel like I'm kind of slouching, so I'm gonna move my chair down a little bit. Okay, that's a little better. Now I just look short though, but oh, thanks. Is it Elena? Thank you. This is So Every Child Needs a Champion. I got this from MissyLulus.com. MISS. I need to, hold on, let me find it to just make sure. I always don't have that URL ready to go. So Missy Lulus. Yes, it's MissyLulus.com. Hi, Rochelle. Okay, here we go. I'm plugging that into the comments now. Yes, I got this shirt before COVID-19 and before all school closures and stuff like that. So I feel like this takes on a new meaning, right? Like when you're with them every day, it's of course you're their champion, right? But even from a distance, right? Even in distance learning and in social distancing, maybe even more so, every kid needs a champion. And we don't have to go into that because teachers know better than anybody else that our kids, not all of them, but a lot of them are facing things right now that they wouldn't be facing if they were going to school on a regular basis. And so I just kind of have that on my heart a lot lately. Hello, Genesis from New York. That's awesome. All right. So like I said, if you ever have any questions as we're kind of getting through this thing, please don't hesitate to just plug them into the comments. I will be kind of looking at my notes here just to make sure that I stay in lockstep, and my goal being that this be about 30 minutes long. That's my goal. Elena said there are 2 time periods in recent history, pre-COVID-19 and now. You are exactly right. And I am a social studies teacher, history teacher, and that is on my mind a lot too. There was pre 9/11, right? And this is another turning point as well. But this one being, 9/11 was U.S. history, but a global impact. This one's even more so of a global impact. So yes, we kind of say that almost jokingly, but it is so incredibly true. So incredibly true. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Raise your hand if you have been, and if you want to at home, I can't see you, you can, or you can in the comments. Raise your hand if you've been mentally and or physically working in overdrive the past probably 2 to 3 weeks attempting to make your classroom online. And what I want you to do is put it in the comments. Let me know what work you've been up to, kind of where your focus has been as you've been shifting online. Because here's the thing, I know it's a lot. And you may have seen, as you guys are typing, hopefully, I'm going to keep chatting here. You may have seen up on my blog today how I give strategies to do this whole teaching online and working at home thing. Those are 2 beasts, right? Teaching at home is not like everyone else's work from home. And working from home right now is way different pre and post COVID-19, kind of like what Elena was saying, right? And so how in the world, and Rochelle, girl, I know you've got your 3 girls at home, right? One of which is right? She's 3 months old, right? Yeah, and I have 3 boys at home. Luckily, my husband is home now too. And so that kind of, like the first week of shutdowns, he wasn't home. And then last week he was and will be moving forward most of the time. But holy moly, we've been working in overdrive, right? I'm sorry, I keep messing with my hair. I need to just like throw it back. We've been working in overdrive to we're learning by fire, essentially, to be prepared to teach our students in the social distancing time. But a quote from my blog today and from a freebie that I actually give you in my blog, which I'll tell you about later, is this: it's not going to be like this forever, but you can decide right now that you'll be better because of it. Now, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I chose to do the Hollis Co. Rachel and Dave Hollis. If you don't know them, just ignore me. But they have their last 90-day challenge, the last 90 days of the year, and now they today started the next 90-day challenge. Part of their thing is drinking a lot of water. This is my second one of these today. And it's actually, I really like it. It's helping me not drink as much caffeine, so that's good. But her kind of lesson today was about perspective in all of this, and choosing the way that, and working hard in the small moments to look at this in a way where you can do something with it. And it's funny that I very much am going to be talking about this all week. I didn't know that Rachel Hollis was going to be talking about this morning, and our messages are very similar. Mine's just applicable to teachers, is that in all this learning you're doing right now, and you're doing a lot of learning, a lot of implementing, you don't want to walk back into the classroom. Hopefully it's in May. If not, I'm betting it's going to be in August, depending on kind of where you are in the globe right now. You don't want to walk back into your classroom in August and just say like this with all the things that you've done and learned in the last 2.5 to 3 weeks, and that you're going to be doing over the next couple months, probably at least through April. They just announced in Ohio that we're done through May 1st. So we won't be going back until May 4th. So my message here is that you can choose to make this time applicable to August when you go back, that makes you better, more effective, and more sustainable, right? Showing up for your students in more effective and more sustainable ways that you're learning right now. And so that's kind of my messaging, and going live every day this week, and then in a couple other ways that I'm bringing you value hopefully this week. Okay, so that's kind of my spiel about why we're doing this, right? And that's kind of my perspective on this, I guess you could say, is that when I'm teaching you all of these things, not that I'm teaching you anything brand spanking new or novel necessarily, but hopefully a different perspective will help you say, oh, that's a cool feature. I could totally do that. Hopefully you can't just do it now, but you can also do it in May or August when we go back to school. Right? That's where the value really is building you up as a teacher beyond COVID-19, beyond distance online learning. Okay, so that's my goal. Rochelle says 2 weeks back from maternity leave, and now this. I really miss my kids. Oh, I bet. Yeah, I totally hear you on that, and that you were totally looking forward to that normalcy, right? Or that routine, I guess I should say, and then boom. Yes. Okay, so let me get to where I want to be here and sharing my slides, just because it's going to kind of guide me as we talk here. And I will kind of toggle back and forth between these slides, as well as demonstrating. So today is all about teaching online with Google. And I know that not everyone is... Well, let me scooch over here because now I'm in this camera. I always forget that part. I know that not everyone is a Google Apps for Education school, and you don't have to be. It is very easy for you to set up your own free Google account. In fact, in my online course, Flip Classroom Formula, where I help teachers build their own flipped classrooms, I even advocate that in some cases, maybe not all, that they use their own Google account for like a Google site, and especially for YouTube, so that their videos are theirs. That's that doesn't really apply here though. It's just me helping you see that it's really simple to set this up. And even if you're not a Google school, right, you will be able to use all the features that I talk about today. So anyone can make a Google account and use all the features that I talk about today. So the 3 things I'm going to talk about today. Number 1 is not necessarily Docs and Slides, Google Docs and Google Slides. It's talking about how to make what is your handout that you have that you normally pass out in your class, how to make that digital without completely remaking it. And then maybe assigning that on your LMS or Google Classroom. We're also going to talk about Google Forms and just a couple of pointers there. And then Google Classroom. I'm not going to show you the ins and outs of Google Classroom because that would take way more than 30 minutes, but also because it's super user friendly. But I will kind of point out a couple of things to you to keep in mind if you're starting or are using that platform. Okay. All right. Let me see. Where was I going next? Okay. So here's where I need to back out of this and bring up all kinds of things. So, by the way, so glad that we brought this up. Whoopsie daisy. Let's go back here. This is MissyLulus.com, where I got this t-shirt and lots of other ones. So I highly suggest that you go and you check her out. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is Google Docs, but I'll also talk about Google Slides. Okay, so what I've got here is an example of a traditional handout that I use in my classroom. I'm going to X out of that so I don't drain myself in battery. So I teach AP Psychology, Intro to Psychology, American History, taught lots of different things. But anyhow, AP Psych is kind of my niche and what I'm known for, and I mentor a lot of teachers in that course. So this is a handout that I would print, make copies of, and pass out to my students, right? Well, I can't do that now. So I want to make this into something that my students can do digitally. And I'm going to show you a really quick way to do that because the goal is not just making it to where they can complete it digitally. It's also making it to where you can easily point out what they have added to the quote worksheet so that you can easily grade it, right? So that's not always something we have in mind, especially in these like super fast paced, we got to get this done and got to get it up and available now times. So I'll show you something here really quickly. So first, I made a copy of this first of all, I went to File, Make a Copy. I already did that so that I can keep my traditional pass out in class paper separate from this like digital one. So if you want to rename it digital copy, you totally could. But if you're like me and you include the key, you might want to go ahead and erase that key, right? So I'm going to erase this bad boy. And yeah, just totally, I hate having like more than one page on there. Okay, so they're going to identify defense mechanisms, right? Which is just totally a psychology thing. So they have their word bank here. Now, underneath each one of these, all I'm going to do is make it very obvious where a student puts their cursor and types something in. So here's what I'm going to do. I need to get rid of that and get rid of that because it's really bothering me. I'm going to go up to Insert, Table, and insert one cell table. That's all. You guys are probably like, I showed up for a Facebook Live for her to show me that. And yes, it's going to be way more than that. But let me show you what you want to do here. So you've essentially just given them a box. I recommend doing a table, and I've seen other teachers recommend doing a drawing. Oh, have mercy. In Google Docs, I despise the drawings. So if you go up like to insert and you say drawing, there's lots of possibilities there, but it's not, I don't like it. I don't like it because it's not easy to move around like it is a text box in Google Slides. So if you find yourself wanting to use Google or using a drawing, insert a drawing in Google Docs, what I would recommend is not, and just going and doing it in Slides. And I'll show you why here in just a little bit. So instead of that, I say just add one table cell, one cell of a table, right? One like box. And then if you want to, and you can change the text color here, you would say something like insert or type. Probably not insert because that means I can copy and paste. You might want to say type answer here, right? And then once they click here, if they were to, they could highlight it and erase it. It'll be red, so that'll pop up to you. If they erase it, it might go back to being black, but either way, you're still going to notice it because it's in that box. Okay. And so what you can do is actually just like select the table. Oopsie doozy. That's not what I wanted to do. Maybe it's easier to do this if you have more than one cell. So I've selected all of the table, click copy, and then I'm just going to click at the end of number 2 and then Control V. Now, the reason why I click at the end of the number and I don't click under it is because it automatically does this like weird formatting thing, and that just gets on my nerves and makes more like backspacing for me because hashtag first world problems. I don't like to use my keyboard a lot. No. Right? So instead I just do it at the end of the number, Control V or Command V, whatever type of computer you have, and bam, that's where they put their answers. And it's as simple as that. Right? Then assign it on Google Classroom or whatever your LMS is, email it to them and say, here's how whatever that setup looks like for you. This is how I take a Google Doc. You could do this in Word too, if that's something that you do instead, and make it, quote, digital. Okay? All right, so I'm looking at my notes, just making sure. So the idea here, think of like any handout you have had before where you've put in lines, right? Where you had like, instead of this table, you had this. And you just sat there and like made your long line, right? It takes forever. That is like, you're an overpaid secretary when you do this, right? Where you make your lines and then you end up like, will this video be on your Facebook page? I have to attend a meeting in a few minutes. Yes. So Eddie, yes, it will be. It's a Facebook Live, so you can watch it on like replay. I'm also going to make it into a YouTube video because, you know, two birds, one stone. So you know what I'm saying when I say you have these lines, right? Like when students need to write more than like a one-word answer, you make these lines and you print it out. So on any handout where you have these, just erase it, right? Erase it and put in a table cell. Now, another thing that I will recommend, you're welcome, John. I'm glad it's helpful. Another thing that I would recommend is if you, okay, so let's think of our children, our kids right now, right? And they're going to see this one, what would fill as one line in a table, right? They're going to say, ooh, all I have to do is write one sentence and I'm good. Hey, Renee, welcome, welcome. So if you want them writing more than just like a few words, or if you want them writing more than just one line, what I would do is click in there, say type your answer here, click enter a few times and say, be sure to fill this entire space. Something like that. Now note when they go to type here, right? I'm a student typing right now. And they go to do multiple lines, it'll automatically grow bigger. But I think they'll get the point that they should just delete. But if you wanted to show them that, you could also show them that. That's up to you. Okay, now, so any questions? So will it expand? Oh, look, Rob, I just kind of answered your question. Will it expand if they write more than the space you gave them? Yes, it will. Okay, so like let's just say I'm gonna like type a lot. I'm typing lots and lots. Yes, it expands with them as they write. Yes, good question. I just mentioned before, though, that sometimes they'll see this one-line box and think that's all they have to write, which isn't bad if that's all they have to write. But if you're doing some kind of extended response, you want it to be longer. And so you'll just want to like click enter a few times and type, be sure to fill the whole space. Or give them like a minimum 4 sentences, or I don't know, you could put that in the directions too. Okay, now, any questions, please just plug them in. I'm going to keep rolling and answer them as they come up, okay? All right, so the next thing, the reason why I use this one is because, or this handout, is because this would very easily work as a drag and drop. Okay, this would very easily work as a drag and drop. So, but you also don't want to create it from scratch as a drag and drop. I actually recently did like a how-to series on my blog, teachonamission.com/blog. And if you kind of scroll back a few posts, you'll see a how-to series. And in one of those, I think it's stations. Nope, no, it's digital activities. Yeah, I actually show you how I use Google Slides. Well, I take that back. I use Google Slides and mostly Google Drawing or Google Draw, which is different than the Google Draw in Google Docs. I should get paid a nickel every time I say Google today. Anywho, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, in that blog post, and I think I made it into a YouTube video. Pretty sure I did. No, I didn't. Not on that one. Anyway, go there and I will send you a tutorial video on how I use Google Draw and Google Slides to make drag and drop. I'm not going to show you that today because it'll take too long. And it means creating it from scratch. And you don't want to do that. So let me kind of take you through this process here, okay? So, all right, I want to zoom to make this smaller. Here's what I'm going to do. I want to take this handout and make it drag and droppable, essentially, okay? So what I'm going to do is take a screenshot of this. Now on a Mac, it's Command-Shift-4, but on UPC, people just think of how you like make a drag and drop activity. You could do the whole page or just grab a little bit of it, okay? Now I'm going to create a Google Slides, okay? Get that out of the way and throw those over there somewhere. Okay. I don't want any of the themes. I also want to do Command or Control All and delete all of that stuff. By the way, that is like the simplest but greatest thing I've learned in the last like 6 months of my life is Command or Control A to get rid of everything on a slide or a doc. Just saying. It's amazing. Okay, but I want this to look like a piece of paper. So I'm actually going to go to Slide. Nope, just kidding. I'm going to go to File, Page Setup. I work a lot in PowerPoint and Google Slides, so switching my brain back is kind of tricky. So I'm going to make this the size of a piece of computer paper, 8.5 by 11 inches, apply, and bam, it looks like a piece of paper. Now, you need to please excuse my crazy desktop for a hot second, okay? You're about to see my crazy desktop. Okay, maybe not. I fooled you. Will it let me do this? Yes, it will. Okay. So all I've done is dragged my screenshot and put it on this slide. Okay. And look, it kind of looks like a piece of paper. Now, I did get a little shadow over there. So if you're like totally obsessive compulsive and anal retentive like I am, you might want to crop that out. Where's my crop feature? Here we go. And I'm just going to like drag it in just a smidge here. Bam. So that I get rid of that little shadow. Oh, that looks so much better. Okay, so let me zoom in just so we can see it a little better here. Notice I made this a slides, not a doc. That's very, very imperative. Very, very important. You know what? I don't like it zoomed in that much, so we're going to just go back out to this. That's good. Okay, so I want my students to take a word and essentially drag and drop it on the word or on the number that the word applies to, okay? So here's all I'm going to do. I'm going to make a text box. Bam. And I'm going to make it kind of small because let's be honest, this paper is kind of small, but they'll be able to zoom in just fine. I'm going to make it a color because I like to live in color. And I'm going to make it centered, but also centered in the middle, right? Centered both horizontally and vertically. And I'm going to select a font that I like. I really like Century Gothic. And I'm going to make it size 18 should be good. And what I'm going to do is plug in each of these vocab terms that's already on the handout into a separate box. So regression is the first one, and I'm going to make that way bigger. So I'm going to make the box a little smaller, and I'm going to make this text way bigger. There we go. And I'm going to bold it just because it's easier to read. I also like, and this is just a tip from something, I've been making these for a while, I like to put a line on the outside so that it helps your brain kind of pop it out a little better. So I'm going to click it, Control or Command C, Command V. I'm going to change the color to something else. And I'm going to write the next word, denial. We're all in denial that we're going to be locked in our homes for the next month. No, just kidding. We're not. Stay safe. Stay home. Okay. And so I'm just going to do that over and over and over again, changing the colors to be other things. and typing in the other vocabulary terms, and then you probably know what happens from there, right? Okay, so let's say that I have all of my words made into text boxes, and what I like to do is kind of line them up on the sides of the slide. Okay, on the sides of the slide, which is nice because you have all this other workable space. You're not printing this, nor are your students, so you have lots of workable space, like kind of in the periphery. But here's the thing, I want to include different directions now that now that it's digital, right? Like these directions up here are kind of null and void. So if you wanted to put like a white text box over those, you totally could do that, PS. But I'm going to make this text box, and I want it to be outlined, and I want it to have a pretty dash line, but I want that to be weighted a little bit more so that they see the little polka dotty things. Yes, I just went really fast there. You can watch this on replay, and you can watch it on YouTube here in like probably tomorrow. Anywho, and then I'm going to select my text again, and I'm going to make it a little bigger. And I'm going to say in bold, in capitals, directions. You know what? And that's not big enough. I'm going to make it even bigger. And bam. Yes, that's big enough. Okay, directions. Read each, let's just say prompt or question, scenario, whatever you want to call it. Then drag and drop the appropriate vocab term on top of its corresponding explanation. There's probably a way better version of saying that, but those are their directions, right? And then if you wanted to include something like then, click turn in because it's on Google Classroom. You could totally do that. Elena, I see 3 minds blown. Yes, winning. So yeah, that's how you make it into a drag and droppable without like totally remaking it from scratch. I hope that's helpful. Yeah, okay, so docs and slides, and it's 27, which means I'm not going to hit the 3:30 mark, but hey, that's okay because I still have 2 things to go through. Okay. All right, now, please, 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 if you have questions about this, so I just talked about Google Docs and Google Slides, how to make them digitally manipulatable, but also easily gradable by you, because that's important. That's important. And sometimes when we're in a rush to just get things out to our students, which of course we have been that way and no shame, like of course we are, we kind of sacrifice not thinking of how to make it easily or make it more sustainable for teachers, right? That's kind of easily sacrificed. But hopefully this is a quick pointer to not do that, right? And to think about, okay, what's a good way that I could, which now I just thought of something. All of your text boxes here, first of all, make sure they're not in the order that students should drag and drop them. I've done that before. Epic fail. But also make them different colors, because what then you could do is just go through and visually see the colors. You wouldn't even have to read it, right? When you go, if you were to grade this and check it for understanding. There you go. That's a quickie. All right, the next one I want to talk about is Google Forms. So when you're in Google Google Drive, you'll just go to New, hover over More, and click Google Forms, okay? Give me like a thumbs up or a raised hand emoji or yep in the comments if you have used Google Forms before, whether that's in the last 2 weeks with distance learning or ever. Just give me like a, yep, I've used this before. And while you guys are typing and we're on a 20-minute delay, I'm going to keep showing you this, okay? All right, so quick thing. The big thing about forms is that you can make them into a quiz. And I see lots of thumbs up. That's awesome. I use the forms for surveys of my students, and I use them like at the beginning of the year, like the get to know you stuff. Oh, yay, I see lots of people saying, yes, I've used it. Like the get to know you index card you used to do. No, don't do that anymore. Use Google Forms. It's so much better. I mean, I'm all about an index card too. But anywho, I also use them for quizzes because Google is about to take over the world and they're just amazing. So, and all you do is go into your settings and you go to quizzes and you say, make this a quiz, right? Yes, the response tab, quiz feature, all of it amazing. Now, because a lot of us have used this, I don't want to go through the ins and outs of forms because I'm already over my time. But I do want to point out a few things to you. And I'm just kind of, pardon me, looking down, just looking at my notes here. If you are, well, let me finish talking about what's on the screen here. There's lots of important things on this like quizzes thing. Do you want them to see their grade, I guess you could say, immediately or later after manual review? If it's just multiple choice, true, false, something like that, give it back immediately. But if it's got some extended responses or something that you need to grade manually, make sure you say later after manual review. Now, if you're a Google Apps for Education school, you already know this, but on this slide here or on these settings, it will, if you go to general and you say collect email addresses, it'll give you the option to automatically collect it from your students' school Google accounts. If you're not a GAF, meaning Google Apps for Education, school, I recommend collecting email addresses, but I also recommend something else, which I'm going to point out here in a second. So back to quizzes. And then I don't like to show my students correct answers, but that's entirely up to you. Okay? All right, so saving that. And you'll notice there's a little box there that says email address. Okay? All right, so you want to title it, I don't know, Quiz 1. That's an awful name, but you know what you're going to be doing about as far as your naming conventions. Okay, quick note about if you are assigning a Google form. So I've been in the Facebook group of teachers who are using Google Classroom, and I saw and answered lots of questions about using forms in Classroom. Here's the thing, Google Forms, when you assign those on Classroom, you have to use the send link. So when you click send, what you're doing is sending this survey, this form, this quiz to people to fill it out. So they will not see this. They will not see this. What they will see is this, your finished product that allows them to complete the survey as one of your students or quiz as one of your students. So click send, grab the link, copy that, and go assign it in Google Classroom. But because you have to copy that link in order to put it in Google Classroom, it's an external link. It's not like assigning a Google Doc in Classroom. And I say that to say you will not be able to see student responses in Google Classroom when you've assigned a form. So here's kind of the conventions around that I set up or put in place for my students. I said, okay, this is a quiz. Click the link and submit your responses. Then come back to Google Classroom and click done. Okay? Make that assignment just a completion one, not with a grade attached to it on Google Classroom. There's a grade attached to it in quizzes in Google Form, but not Classroom, because then you're doing grades in like 5 different places and you don't want that. Okay, what I love about Google Forms is that you can plug in a video. So if you ever flipped your classroom, or if you just want to give like your students some directions really quickly in like a quick screencastify video, oh my heavens, record it real quick, put it up on YouTube, and plug it in here. So let me go to my YouTube channel really fast. Should have done this beforehand. Oh, see, I'm on my child's, as in my personal account, because my 2-year-old can't get over Baby Shark. Okay, here we go. Which one? This one. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to go to my channel. Let me put all our comments back over here. All right, and let's just say that I'm going to use this Evaluating Psychotherapies. It's a totally outdated video, but that's okay. I'm going to click on Share. Oh, John said I mess up with Google Forms so badly last week. That's a bummer. Okay, so copy those. Hopefully my recommendation kind of helped with that, or at least you figured it out. Okay, so I'm going to click share, copy the link, and I'm going to plug it in here. Search it, select it. Bam, there it is. Oh my gosh, I just realized it's a video where I'm like uber pregnant. Oh, that's so funny, my swollen face. I'm like seriously like 4 days away from giving birth in that video. Yes, I have a baby shark. I thought I said badly shark. Baby shark obsessed 2-year-old. Yes, I do. He actually just woke up. My husband just went and got him. Okay, so I'm just going to title this Watch This First. Something like that. And then underneath it, I'm going to ask questions. Question text, right? If I can type text. And type out those questions. I'm going to make it multiple choice. You can make a checklist. Don't recommend checklist if you're going to be doing like making it a grade. Make sure you make it required and then go to your answer key once you have all your options, making sure that you make it worth a point at least. And then also like add in your options, right? Obviously it's going to be more than just the letters, but you get what I'm saying. Because then you can, in your answer key, select that C is always the right answer. Just kidding. Yeah, and then it'll grade it for you. Oh, so amazing. Okay, last pointer in forms. Okay, last pointer in forms is this. Even if you are a Google Apps for Education school, even if you're automatically or manually collecting their email addresses, even if you know their email addresses and you are collecting them, still ask for their name. So here's how I set up every single Google form I ever made that my students would be turning into me. Okay, I asked them for the bell, and then I said, what bell are you? 1, 4, or whoop. And then you can like say what other numbers you have. What bell are you? Make it required, worth 0 points though. So I have them identify the bell first. Then last name, because I've had lots of Millers in one bell before. Sorry if any of you are a Miller. My cousins on my husband's side are Millers too. And then I also do first name because I have lots of Millers, right? Bam. That's it. Make sure you collect their bell, because then when you go to look at the responses and you click to make a spreadsheet, it might take a hot second to make this spreadsheet. What you can do is organize this, right, in alphabetical order by bell. And what I do then is I go and I duplicate it and I erase on this original form all of first bell, so that then the second form can be all of second bell. And then I duplicate it again and I make it all of third bell. And then once you've deleted all the other bells, you can alphabetize. You're welcome. I hope that was helpful. Oh, that was not my last tip. I have another tip for you, and this is going to be so much longer than 30 minutes. That's fine though. When you're all done with this and you've got your students submitted all their answers and stuff, use like Screencastify really quickly to go to responses. And once, yes, there will, Lisa, be a link to a replay. Yes, it'll be in my, like on my page, Facebook, but I'll also put it in YouTube. Oh, sorry, got a big hair. You'll have all kinds of like cool things here, like pie charts and graphs or all kinds of stuff. It's an item analysis. Go through the item analysis of all your students' responses without showing them their names. That would be really bad. Make a video of you kind of explaining each question once everyone has submitted it, of course, and put that in Google Classroom as an assignment. Bam. Student remediation at its finest online. Okay, the last thing is Google Classroom. So Becky said a music teacher created a quiz within Google Classroom, but we can't find student scores. Okay. So question being, I'm assuming the quiz was in Google Forms, because I don't think you can make a quiz. Now, I haven't done a lot in Google Classroom this year. But can you make a quiz? Let's go up to classwork. And I'm going to click create. Yes, you can. Quiz assignment. Okay, so you can make a quiz. I have not done this because I like forms. I so obsessed with the response infographics. Yes, the response infographics are amazing. So if you make the quiz in Google Classroom, it automatically just makes you a Google form. So it really does the same thing. right? So you would just click to open that. And Becky, I hope this answers your question. You would actually go into Google Classroom, find the quiz, click on it, and then look at the responses the same exact way as this form over here that I had already previously created. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, let's see. Okay, what was I going to say about... Okay, so I'm not going to show you the ins and outs of Classroom because I'm already over on time and I wasn't planning on it. Anyway, but here's what I will say. Google Classroom is stinking amazing. Love it. Used it all the time ever since they came out. Actually, before. I was like in the beta, can you test this out for us version. But I will say this. In all of its amazingness, it can totally throw a wrench in what you're trying to do when it comes to grades, and make for not a lot of headache necessarily, but it is a lot of headache. A lot of headache on where things are when it comes to grades. Okay, so here's what I mean, and here's how to avoid it. If you haven't been assigning and or grading assignments in Google Classroom all year, meaning your students and parents have only looked to your online gradebook for grades, then you should keep it that way. Okay? You should keep it that way. And you need to, from the start, be very clear about that, because Google Classroom could become a place where they are looking for their grades, because you can tie grades, right? You can grade an assignment right in Google Classroom. If you make the assignment and say 20 points and you never change, you never say 15 out of 20 for Johnny and 22 for George, whatever. If you don't do that, then parents and students alike are going to think I got a 0, but in Progress Book or, whatever your online grading platform is, it's there. So what's going on here? That creates lots of headache. So yeah, it just creates lots of headache. But the other thing too is the other headache for you is that if you start grading it in Google Classroom as well, you're now doing it twice, if not more than that, depending on the type of assignment. And ain't nobody got time to be doing things more than once. So the precedent that you want to set, or that I set from the start, you got to set the precedent from the start, is this. Set the precedent early and obviously. At the top of every assignment, maybe for just the first week or two, in the assignment description, have the same one-line explanation that says something like, assignments can be found in Google Classroom, but grades are still in Progress Book or whatever your online grade book is. You could also add, I'll provide feedback via comments in Google Classroom, but your final grade will only be recorded and only correct in Google Classroom, in your online gradebook, not Google Classroom. Okay? So that will mean that on Google Classroom, if you tie 20 points to an assignment, that they're going to see a 0 out of 20 forever. And yet in Progress Book, or online gradebook, it looks amazing. So you just want to be clear about that from the start. All right. Here's some Q&A time. What questions do you have? Here comes my really overcrowded desktop. Oh, wait, no, I got it to where you guys can't see it all. Yay. Thank you, past self, for helping my future self. Okay. What questions do you guys have? Please plug them in if you have any. And then you're welcome, Shannon. I hope that you found this helpful. I will kind of talk as you guys are plugging in your questions. Okay, so tomorrow and every day this week, I'm going to be live. Candace said, did I miss something about setting up a folder in Google Classroom? No, I didn't talk about folders in Google Classroom. I could. I'm not going to today because I'm already 15 minutes over time. But I totally could talk about that. And that, yeah, you could set up how you want to organize your classwork stream in Google Classroom. Could totally do that. So I'm going to go live tomorrow. How did I hide my desktop? So I didn't hide my desktop. You actually saw my picture of my family. I hid all the clutter on my desktop, and you see me in this little circle over here, because I'm using a software that allows me to do all these fancy things by going live on Facebook. It's called Ecamm. It's for Mac. I don't recommend it for teachers unless you're going to be doing this whole Facebook Live thing all the time, which you're probably not. So Rachel said, I may have missed it, but if one Google form is used in several classes, is there a way to sort responses per class? Yes, and you did miss it, but that's okay. I'll quickly explain it, and then when you watch the replay on YouTube or on Facebook, you can rewind it to see it better. Always, always, always have one of your questions at the top before you start making your asking your quiz questions. Make a question a bell. What bell are you in? In what bell are you would be the non-prepositional phrase. Okay, anyhow. And then give them those options, so then you can sort your spreadsheet by bell and then by student. I give like a whole tutorial on that in my online course where I kind of dive deep into these tutorials. Rob says, how do you share a slide with your students to do the drag and drop, or is this on your other video? It's not on my other video, but all you do is assign it in Google Classroom. Yep, that's all you do. So just make it like a one slide thing and you assign it in Google Classroom. That's it. Just like you would a Google Doc. But you're excited for that simple answer, right? Okay, so tomorrow it's going to be all about how teachers can and should be preparing to not go back to school this year. And I don't say that to be a fearmongerer or to like totally trigger you right now. But in the state of Ohio, which is where I'm coming to you live from, I feel like I'm on a late night TV show or something. The Governor DeWine just announced we're not going back through May 1st. And if I'm a betting gal, which I'm not, but if I were, we're not going back to the school year. And there's some things that I want to share with my teacher community. I think I have a few insights to share on how to mentally prepare yourself for this, what this means for us, of both being shut down for the school year, but also looking at, again, not trying to trigger anybody or be like a fearmonger, but how we're looking at a very huge downturn in our economy and what that means for teachers. And although, yes, we are essential, not in the terms of essential workers means today, but we are essential in our society, right? How we can be shifting things to make ourselves individually more essential for our students in this rather unpredictable time. Okay, so that's tomorrow, live on Facebook, right here, 3 p.m. Okay, keep plugging in your questions if you've got them. The next thing I want to tell you about is something I made for you. I finished it at like 11 p.m. last night because I worked way too late, but that's one of the things that I recommend for you in this guide on how to both teach online and work from home is, if you have children at home, you cannot work all the time, right? If you're anything like me, you want to work all the time, but you can't. So I really don't want to work all the time, but I could. And so pick one, early or late. That's a recommendation that I give to you in this guide on how to effectively work from home. And then the last thing I want to tell you about is something huge this week. Ready? I am giving some even bigger than this online, completely free professional development this Thursday at 8 p.m. So I made it that time so that it's like after your kids are hopefully in bed, if you've got any little ones at home. This Thursday, a flipping workshop, right? Flipped classroom webinar with me. I will even give you a certificate of completion when we're finished so that you can turn that in and hopefully get some like continuing education units. And in that webinar, I'm going to give you lots of pointers for a good hour, also answer any questions, but I'm also going to talk to you about my online course. I had a few teachers last week ask me about it. I was not planning on opening it up for enrollment again because I just didn't have time to do that. But last week, I had lots of teachers asking about it, and one even signed up, and I didn't even know she was doing that. So it's called Flipped Classroom Formula. It's kind of like my baby. It's something I'm really proud of because for 10 years, I was really proud of my Flipped Classroom, and now I'm really proud of this and how to have impact in more students' lives through their teachers. in making your classroom more accessible and, more importantly, in my opinion, more sustainable. And so I walk you through how to flip your classroom from step 1 to done, and implementing your flipped classroom without all the stress over how the heck do I do this effectively so that I don't totally suck at it my first year, right? In all honesty, I mean, that's what we're going to talk about in the workshop. So, all right, guys, I'm going to hop out of the slideshow here. Oh, those are the URLs, by the way, and I want to plug those in for you. I'm going to just like totally unload a ton of URLs in the comments real quick. Probably should do those one at a time, but I just like unloaded a lot of them. Hopefully those actually give you links and isn't just a bunch of text. Susan asked, where do you teach? So I have taught for 10 years just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. Oak Hills High School is where I taught for 10 years. And I actually took a year sabbatical this year to kind of explore this whole Teach on a Mission business thing that I've been doing. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I have this online course, Flip Classroom Formula, but I also mentor 50 AP psychology teachers, because that's what I taught, giving them all of my stuff, all of my resources and coaching. And yeah, it's really awesome. I love that group. Okay, so those are all the URLs. What I want to do here is get back to this. Yay, so you guys can see me. Yeah, so man, I went way over in time, but it's okay. It's okay. Hopefully you found the video useful. Any guidance for grading system online? You know what? I do, but we don't have time to talk about that today, but I'm going to write this down. Grading system online. There's so many layers to that, because do you grade for completion and participation? Do you grade for, like, can you assign a test? What does that look like? Yeah, that's a hard one. So I'm going to do some thinking on that one and kind of what I would recommend, and maybe I can somehow throw that in the very near future. Thank you for that topic. Yes. Oh, I bet you're struggling. And I would be too. In all honesty, I would be too, because this is a whole new territory. Brave new world. All right, guys, if you ever have any questions, feel free to just plug them into the comments and I'll see them. You can even tag me. And yeah, I hope to see you again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Make sure you go to teachonamission.com/teachfromhome to grab that little printable, and then check out the webinar I'm going to be doing on Thursday, teachonamission.com/flipping-workshop. Or if you want to just know about my course and what in the world I offer, it's a 10-week course that we're going to cram into 6 weeks. To hopefully, I don't know about that timing. We might not do that, but you can go to teachonamission.com/flipped-classroom to check that out if you want to know details. I'll talk more about it on Thursday. So yeah, I hope this has been helpful, guys. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.